Good morning. I honestly just woke up. I couldn't be bothered to do anything with what's going on here because I'm tired. I'll be real honest with you guys. I am very low maintenance, so half the time I look like a hot mess, but we're here to talk about all of the manga and books that I read in the month of October 2024, so let's just get into it. So I'm going to start with the manga as per usual, but then I'll have one book at the end that I want to talk to you about. So if you don't want to hear about that, you can just click off the video whenever I'm finished with the manga. But the first thing I read this month was volume 12 of Mao. My dog's trying to love on me. This is by Rumiko Takahashi. I have not picked up a volume of this in like months. Not necessarily because I haven't enjoyed it, but I've prioritized other things. So I'm trying to catch up with this. I know I'm a few behind, but it's still a really enjoyable series. I just think that I'm not as into it as I was at the beginning. I think that I'm gonna need some established info to be given before I really am into it again. Because at the beginning we were given all this stuff and all these mysteries, and now it's like mysteries just keep piling up and I feel like we're not getting any answers. So I'm kind of worried that my steam for this series is starting to kind of slow down, but I do still want to pick it up regardless if I love it or not, because I do support Rumiko Takahashi as much as I can. I've got to pick up several of her series that I have not read, but this is a good one. I do like it a lot, and I recommend it to anyone who wants to try one of Rumiko Takahashi's series. It's new, it's still being published, and very accessible. Love her art, so that one has been fun. I also picked up volume 5 of Sasaki and Miyano. I've been enjoying this series a lot. It's very sweet and very fun, and it feels like a great friendship story, not just a romance. I don't read a ton of BL here, and it's not necessarily that I don't like BL. It's just that I haven't found many that I really love. BL kind of, not as quickly as GL, has been transitioning from very toxic characters to a more soft, realistic kind of approach. I think to me that's wonderful, but it means that I'm probably not going to pick it up as quickly as I do GL, but I do really like this one. This one's very nice. It's very soft. My only real complaint is the price point for how thin it is, but these characters are so likable, and I definitely will be continuing this. We've got Sasaki and Miyano here on the cover. They're very lovable characters. Sasaki is the taller guy, the one who's a little more forward with his feelings. I like him the most. I think he's more interesting of a character, and I really like how forward he is with Miyano. And Miyano is more of like your Deku types. If you read My Hero, you know who I'm talking about. Kind of nerdy over BL and just real self-conscious and things like that. So I just really love these characters. They're cute, and I can't wait to see their love bloom. Next up, I read a good chunk of Waiting for Spring, volumes 9, 10, and 11. This is volume 9, volume 10, and of course volume 11. And like I told you guys, this is one of those series that I prioritized this year to really complete collecting and complete reading. I have been enjoying this one a lot. It's not the most like unique shoujo romance out there, but for me it's pretty unique because I don't read a lot of sports manga, and this is the closest to that I do read. I don't think that it's overwhelming with the sports. And also I did play basketball back in the day, like a long time ago, so I am a little more knowledgeable in some of the terms. Not all of them, because I was very young. But it isn't as annoying to me as, like, I don't know, I can't do like Haikyuu. I'm sure it's a wonderful friendship story and it's so cute. But I've tried watching it, I've tried reading it, I cannot do it. There are some series that I just can't do, and sports happens to be one of those. But this one's more about the friendship and the romance, and I don't know, the sports to me just isn't a deal breaker for this one. Maybe one day I'll find something else that does the same thing, but I do really like this series. It's fun, it's funny. I love the guy characters who are friends with our main girl. I can't even remember any of their names right now. I'm not a big fan of the guy with the long hair who comes in that's on this cover. He's not my favorite for a few reasons, but I get like the point of him being there. But I am enjoying my read through of this. Next up, I am so sad to say that I have read the final volume of one of my favorite series ever, and that is I Am a Wolf, But My Boss is a Sheep. I'm very happy to have this volume and that I got to see the ending of it, but I'm very sad that it was so soon. I don't know if that was in the plans or if it was just go until we say that you can't make any more, but it did feel a little rushed to me personally. Not as bad as some other series that I've seen finished like this, but I of course wish I could have seen like 3 more volumes to wrap up what happened in this. I think 8 would have been more appropriate because there was a lot going on in the original like 4 volumes. And I feel like we needed a few more chapters to pad out that info between the co-workers and her family, and I would just really have loved to see that. This could have been, I feel like this could have been Sweat and Soap for me. This was such good writing and so beautifully done, and the commentary between men and women in the workplace and racial tension. I think that this is about animals, but I think that you could tie that into different races of people. This series to me felt like a commentary on like racial differences and societal differences and men and women's roles in the workplace, because we've got our main girl. She is a sheep descendant, and sheep are not usually leaders in their fields. They're usually very docile, you know, like women are, and the men are very aggressive and get the leading roles and whatever, and he kind of does that, but also he is under her, so it's like really cool to see these roles kind of reversed and it challenging the norms of society. It's just a beautiful story. I really loved it. My heart breaks that it's over, but please try this out if you're interested in a romance. This is beautiful. Next up, I read 2 volumes of Don Da Don. This is volume 5 and volume 6. There's some spoilery stuff in these covers if you look at them too closely, but I really love this series. Me and my husband both are obsessed, and of course the anime is fantastic. If you haven't read the manga and you're curious, just watch a couple episodes of the anime. Maybe that'll get you hooked because it is wonderful. I'm not even going to talk about the anime, it's perfect, but the manga is insane. Like, I just love these 2 volumes in particular. Gigi is becoming one of my favorite characters ever, and that's hard to say because Okurun is so wonderful, but it's a tie right now between the 2 of Okurun and Gigi, but we will see how it goes. My husband's a little bit ahead of me, and I still have some volumes here that I haven't read, but it's so funny, it's so crazy. It's just a sci-fi horror adventure comedy action, it's everything, but it's so good. It's so good. Please read it. Next up, I read 2 volumes of Come You Can't Communicate, volume 11 and volume 12. The series is still one of my ongoing current favorites. It's so fun, and I love all of the characters so much. They're lovable, likable, funny, and the slow burn romance is of course top tier to me. I just love it more and more the more I read it. I feel like I would have been tired of it by now, but I'm so grateful I did try this and picked it up one day. It's really comforting. And the final manga volume I have in this video is volume 9 of A Condition Called Love. I love this series. It's very soft, and it feels very healing to me, at least. I'm not sure how everyone else takes this series when they read it personally, but I take it as a very healing series. When I read this, I feel like it's healing a part of me that was traumatized from friendships when I was young. And it's nice. It's nice to read a couple who they're dealing with trauma from their past, and we're slowly getting pieces of that revealed to us. There's things that we don't know yet between the 2 of them. I've got my ideas of what it is, but I don't know for sure yet because I haven't seen it. The anime is great, but I think the manga just handles it a little bit better. But in this volume, we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty of the trauma that she experienced and how he is involved in that, or if he's not. The very end was a huge cliffhanger. I'm dying to get to the next volume, but I don't think I have it on my shelves, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to go pick that up. But it's so good, it's so sweet. Great friendships in here. We're dealing with romance and friendships mostly, and it's just really heartwarming to read. And for the final thing that I read, of course, I did not technically read this in October. I think I read this in September digitally, like an arc of it. And I finally got a physical copy of it to show you, so I'm going to show it to you now, and we're going to count it as October. It is a book that was written by a good friend of mine that I know IRL. I had the first book and I read it, and I've talked to you guys about that one plenty of times, but this is the sequel slash short story collection from the Midwinter Queen. This is called Scars and Sketches, a collection of short stories from Asmadia. This is by R.H. Linehan. That's their pen name. I know, I'm going to be honest. Like, yes, I am friends with this person. I worked with them for a while, and I am biased. So take that with a grain of salt. But I do want to say, I even got it signed. I had them come by and sign it for me, if you can see it. Helping someone in the smallest way, I didn't help write it at all, but helping someone slightly with a book that they're creating is a crazy good feeling. I love reading, I love making art, I love supporting people who have a dream that is reachable, and I'm just so honored that I got to be a part of the books that she has written, and I'm just so happy. There's like a little dedication in the front and back for me, and it just makes me cry when I read them, and it was in the first book too. I'm just so happy. Like, this was so good. The first book was phenomenal. It's a story, the first book is a story about this queen who, she is married to this guy who she initially falls in love with. He turns out to be very abusive and very awful, and they have a child together. And he wants to separate them because he wants the son to be something that she does not, and then put her away, kind of just like a prisoner. So she escapes the kingdom and runs off with the child. And it's her journey finding her home people. She's from a different race of people who have different, more native beliefs and traditions, and it's gorgeous. They have their own language, they have their own food, they have their own customs, and the people that you run into are just gorgeous and wonderful. And even the evil characters, one of my favorite characters is the villain, like the husband in the first book, and it's because I really enjoy watching his descent into madness, kind of. You don't get to see a ton of it in the first book, but you get to see more of it in here, and I really love that about this. This kind of filled in some of the gaps from the first book, like time skips or background stories for the characters in the first book. So you do really need to read the first one, I think, before you read this one to get what's going on, because she did create a tandem read guide inside here if you want to read them together, like go back and forth. That might be the best way to read these, is to pick both of them up, or to pick up the collector's edition that is about to be released. I think that she got some beautiful artwork done that is going to be on a bigger edition that has both books. So I will put a link to this, the books, both books, in the description below, because we need to support indie authors, first of all. And second of all, I genuinely do love these books. I'm not a fantasy book reader necessarily. I struggle with high fantasy because it's just too crazy for me. Like, I'm sure they're wonderful to people who enjoy them, but I struggle with reading too flowery of language or too many ancestral lineages and things like that, and all the descriptions of the plants and the people and the communities. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much sometimes, but these were just enough for me to really enjoy. It didn't feel like YA, it felt like new adult. So there is like a little bit of spiciness in these, but not like smut, if that makes sense. But they're really good. The short story collection really cleared up a lot of things from the first book that made it even better, and I can't recommend this enough to you guys. Please check out this series. Links in the comments, and enjoy it, because I know I did. Alright, you guys, that's all that I read in the month of October 2024. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you did by liking and subscribing to this video. I put out new manga content pretty frequently, and I've got a bunch of plans for the month of November and December, so I hope that you're excited about that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.